Good evening, everyone. Happy Monday. It is now 5:03, and I would like to call the meeting of the Housing Authority hybrid meeting with the HTC open at 5:03. Let's go ahead and do the Pledge of Allegiance first.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Would we please have a roll call?
Kathleen Bellis absent. Commissioner Kevin Hildy,
Present.
Commissioner Francine Goodwin,
Present.
Commissioner Maria Orozco.
Present.
Commissioner Yuri Anderson.
Here.
Okay, that accounts for the roll call.
Wonderful. Do we have any additions or corrections to the agenda?
Not to this.
All right. Do we have any comments from the public?
Do we have any comments from the public?
I have a comment.
Please state your name.
Linda Greer with Aladdin Properties. We have a number of housing people that are on our, in our rentals.
All right, you have 3 minutes. I'm gonna start the timer starting now.
I would like to know how we as landlords or my tenants can get a response from the housing workers, because the last few months, things have gone to deaf ears. There's one email set up on the website or on the cafe that is wrong. It's been wrong since the cafe was set up. I've sent emails about it. It's still wrong. There's one person that's been out on maternity leave, I guess, for a number of months. That voicemail never states that she's out on leave. Her email doesn't state that she is not available, and nobody follows up with those phone calls. I have 4 tenants that renewed April 1st. I have yet to receive 3 of those renewal notifications. The one that I did get, there was no rent increase. Our rents are far below market rate. Our rent increase requests are not out of line with the market. They're still below, keep us below market. I got the request back with no increase. And then I was told to resubmit it through the cafe. One of my workers for months never had access to the rental cafe where I was submitting the rent increases to. 3 months into it, he tells me he didn't have access. What is going on with you people? That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your comments. I assume you've taken some notes relative to this group.
Was there anyone else online for public comment? Anyone in person? Hearing none.
Hearing no more. Thank you, Ms. Greer. We'll move on with the item number 4 of approval of the minutes from the March 24th meeting. Entertain the motion.
So moved. Second.
Been moved by Commissioner Roscoe, seconded by Commissioner Anderson. Roll call, please.
Kevin Hildy,
Yes.
Francine Goodwin,
Yes.
Maria Orozco.
Yes.
Yuri Anderson,
Yes.
and that concludes the roll call vote.
Good. The minutes have been approved. We'll move on to reports of the committee. Let's start with the board reports ad hoc committee. We did have a meeting and we reviewed the most recent version of the development report, which Commissioner Anderson and I were able to give some additional comments on. I feel like we're making very, very positive progress in that respect. Commissioner Anderson, would you like to add anything?
Nope.
Very good. Move on to the policy ad hoc committee. Commissioner Goodwin, I believe.
Ms. Francine, would you like to make a comment about the policy committee?
Actually, I don't have any comments. I'm unable, I can't comment on it at this time.
Well, that's fine, Ms. Francine. We had the meeting. We discussed the next couple of policies that we were gonna do and the reason why we're doing them. We getting into some of the HR policies. And we'll have something more next month after we meet.
Thank you very much. All right, we'll move on to item 6, the report of the secretary.
Okay,
Executive report.
yeah, my report kind of light this month, because as y'all know, we have those influxes, so next month be ready to stay for a little while, because we have a lot going on. But, we were supposed to take over the YHDP program from BAX, because they left Monterey County. Everything was, in place, we was waiting on the last approval from HUD. But with the new administration change, they said that they can't do any transfers at this time. All transfers are on hold. So it's nothing reflective of the housing authority or our BAX. It's just HUD is on hold. So I attached the letter on here so that you can see. So we will not be taking over that particular program. We submitted the annual plan and the 5-year plan to the HUD San Francisco office on time with the new portal. Let's see what else. We finished all our audits with finance, and so at the next meeting, we'll have somebody from Novogradac plus G and talk about the agency finances and where we at in comparison to last year, stuff like that. We are trying to hire some more workers, but in the interim, we're gonna hire a couple of temporary workers to kind of fill the gaps, and then they'll phase out as we get permanent employees. Human resources and the directors, they really been doing a wide search trying to find people, and they have offered positions to several individuals, but they end up getting other jobs and things like that, so then we have to start back over with our search to find somebody. The audit implementation is almost 100% complete. We gotta do the rafter and the HAP contract function, but to do that, we had to have an online briefing video. And so, we tried to buy the one from Nana McKay, but we was having some issues with that. So James is actually making a video, so we'll have our own video that we'll put up. It's almost complete, and it'll go on the site. So then we'll be able to do the rafter and the HAP contract, and at that time, Section 8 will be 100% online. And that's basically it for the executive report, unless anybody had any questions. Because the next thing we'll be talking about is the resolution for the home key in King City. So is there any questions about the report? Or anything you want me to expand on for the report?
Questions? Hearing none? Thank you.
I do have a question. You said you're hiring the temporary workers. Do you know how many you're looking to recruit and for which divisions?
Well, first, let me ask a question, because is this a public comment or?
Yeah.
Because I don't know how all that works in California, but I know the board, if y'all have a question, I have to answer, but if it's a public comment, I think I don't post the answer. I just note the comment. Is that right?
Comment. I take that as a question from the public on an item that's on the agenda. Is that how you?
You know, Alabama, they can't really say nothing. That's why I'm asking. I don't wanna violate. So if she asked, because I've been some other meetings, they ask a question and they say you can't answer the question, but I don't know if it's because it's the public comment section or what, but if y'all, I can answer.
That's my
I just don't
understanding.
wanna
Is that
be,
public
you
comment,
know.
since it's not on the agenda, we can't respond to questions, but if it is an item on the agenda, that we can respond to questions. I'm comfortable with everyone else.
Yeah.
That's,
All right, I just want to
pretty
know.
normal.
Thank you,
I'm not saying I'm violating. No, what you wanna know?
Just on the temporary workers, how many are you looking to bring on? And what divisions are you looking to have them located or to be assigned?
I don't know how many we're gonna get. We looking at property management. And so we may have 2 temps for Section 8, but not as HPS or eligibility, just we got a agreement with the Department of Rehabilitation. So just some temporary workers helping doing filing and stuff like that. But that's where we at right now.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions for the executive report? Okay, moving on to new business, item 7A.
All right.
Resolution 3135.
Well, we are at the finish line with the home key for King City. They had to make some changes to some of the documents. The deal is essentially still the same. We only gonna pay $1 for it, and we're gonna run it using the ERF grant and some money that we got from CCAH. So all of that is still in place. The only difference is at first, we was gonna buy it first and just go from there, but King City actually got to purchase it, then they gonna sell it to us. So it's just some minor changes, but the board has already approved everything and all the past resolutions. It's the same plan. We're just changing the ownership traveling, so to speak, a little bit. And then it might have been 1 or 2 shifts in the money on the budget, but it was nothing that affected the Helcom budget. It was just the budget for the acquisition. So we wanted to get the new resolution approved so that it'll match all the new documents, but those are the only changes. Actually, it's not even nothing that is really pertaining to our side of the deal, but I want our documents to match the documents that King City have and HPC, so all of them is in unison.
Very good. Questions for this item?
Do you have a date when you think that, I guess, the purchase of the King City will be complete?
I'm hoping that it's at the end of May, but I don't know for sure because there's 4 different partners in this. And so, all of us have to be on the same time frame. And especially since we're not doing the initial acquisition, somebody else buying it, then we buying it. So it's
Okay.
supposed to be sometime in May, but if that change, you know.
Is this the property that we kept hearing, oh, the King City property, the King City property?
I don't think you're talking about the same one.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
Question. So this is a new resolution that changes some details from a previous resolution, or we haven't approved a resolution?
Oh, no,
to
you
this effect
already
yet?
approved it. You approved one, for us to buy it and operate it as it was in the ERF grant.
Mhm.
You approved that, then we had to get another one where we was gonna buy it from King City for $1, so you approved that before
Yeah, I
too.
remember that.
But HCD had a few changes and King City had a few changes in their
Uh-huh.
documents, just different little verbiage here and there.
Uh-huh.
So it's essentially the same resolution. The only thing that it say now is that we getting it for the $1 from King City and that we gonna still use the ERF grant as it's been amended.
Okay.
Because they had to move some of the money so that they can use it for the acquisition and take it out, but then they put money back. But that was still our acquisition money.
Mhm.
All of the money that we're getting to operate it and things like that, it still stayed the same.
Okay, so.
But because they amended
Mhm.
the ERF grant and our resolution said that we were gonna follow the original grant,
Mhm.
then I want you guys to approve this resolution showing that we following the amended version.
Okay, so I'm wondering if this resolution should reference that previous resolution is stated as like superseding what we had previously approved. That wasn't.
I don't know, we talked to the attorneys about it, it's the same ones that made the other resolutions, and so they made this one and said that this is all we
So
need
this
to
has
do.
been, this has been back.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Okay, cool.
And it's the same ones who made the other two.
Right.
And again, our position really didn't change that much, but I wanna make sure that whatever they documents say, I always say the same thing, so we don't have to.
Yeah, I just wanna make sure we're not like going back into history and being like, we have this resolution, we have this resolution. That we know it's like.
Oh, no,
The
no.
resolution.
Any other questions? Okay, we'll entertain a motion on resolution 3135.
Move approval.
Second.
Then moved for approval by Commissioner Anderson and seconded by Commissioner Roscoe. Roll call, chief.
Okay, Commissioner Kevin Hill,
Yes, please.
Commissioner Maria Orozco. Commissioner Yuri Anderson.
Yes.
And Commissioner Francine Goodwin. Ms. Francine?
You're on mute.
And I accidentally muted myself. Yes, I'm sorry.
I move the resolution passes. Wonderful. All right, we'll move on to information items. Information item 8A, human resources report.
The only thing that I would like to say about the human resource report is I really like that James added this workforce snapshot. So it break down all the demographics of the population here that's working and things like that. But other than that, I didn't have any other comments. Do any of the board have any questions for them in reference to the report?
I was just curious, I've never seen the verbiage before, but don't let me get too far in uncharted waters, I'll say it that way. An indemnity claim for workers' comp for psychological injury.
Oh,
More of a mental illness or mental kind of situation to be assessed. That's the correct term.
I saw it and I was a little, yeah,
Yeah.
surprised.
Thank you for asking them.
Okay. Any other questions of the human resources?
No.
Move on.
I have a question. So I'm looking at the report now. And I'm looking here. So I do want to make sure that as all this is being explained, and I do appreciate this detailed report, that PACM do remember to please include the union, right? When we're looking at operational updates within each department. So my statement is, don't forget to include the union when these changes are happening, so that we can meet and confer prior to these changes being implemented.
Which changes are you referring to?
Just looking here, as it's saying, I'm looking at the recruitment, department operational updates. And it's showing here that you guys are still, you're doing some good things to strengthening your workforce and development. And those things do come with change, I know. So I'm asking that when the agency is looking at this report and looking into the future of making more changes as you are recruiting, and we're talking about bringing on more training for your current employees and your new employees, that you work with the union during that process.
Okay, well, I'd just like to make the comment that all of the things in the human resource report is things that we've already done and met and conferred with the union about. If it's something that is not under a managerial right that we're supposed to discuss with the union, we want to make sure that we do that. But there will be some things that is a managerial right that we can go ahead and proceed with that doesn't change any of the working conditions or any of the classifications of other people. So in an instance like that, the union might not get an initial notice because that's something that we have a right to be able to do. But anything that we need to meet and confer about, we would do that before we put it in a report or any type of action on it. So there's nothing in there that the union doesn't know about.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I like the format too, just.
Yeah, it looks nice.
Mhm.
All right, let's go ahead and move on to item 8B, the finance report.
The finance report, I just can't say how happy I am that all the audits, the major audits coming up. And really, I'm looking to delve into the finances in the next meeting. We might even have to have a separate just budget meeting because they're working on the budget. But I think that just even looking at it with the department activities and where we at, it's drastically different from where we started. And so now we just need to build on that moving forward. But if anybody have any questions, Jen is here, she can answer. But really, I think most of everything right here is kind of self-explanatory, but then we'll really get into the nuts and bolts of it when we look at the audit and what happened in the last 3 years.
Questions for the finance report? Hearing none.
Very good.
We'll move on, and we'll be excited to have that audit review and budget special meeting.
Yeah, we really get into it, yeah.
Item 8, Charlie, property management report.
Okay, the property management report will be the next one that we're making some changes on. Finance report so long, I'm trying to get to my sheet. But, property management is improving. We have King City Migrant Center coming back online, different stuff like that. So I just say property management is a work in progress, but I feel like it's going in the right direction. As far as the report, I don't have anything, but, do any of you have any questions about any of it or any comments?
I don't know if you can hear me. I have what indicates or indicators do you have that property management is improving?
What you said, what indicators do I have? The data that's in the reports that we get, you can see the improvements there.
Would you be willing to share some of the most vital information?
What you say?
Can you please repeat your question?
Yeah, would you be willing to share some of the key points?
Talking about just share it right now in the
Key
meeting, or
points.
what exactly are you? You talking about right now, just like what are the key indicators? Is that what you're asking me?
Yes.
Okay, well, one, rent that went up overall. 2, occupancy has went up overall. Those are the 2 main things in property management. You want to look at the occupancy report, so you can see if you got a vacancy loss, and you want to look at your rent collection, because you need your rent money so you can operate the facility. Additionally, customer complaints has went down, so that means that the staff is more engaging with their tenants in the community, because we don't have the complaints coming out of property management that we used to have in the past. And our reviews, we get reviews called MORs. And so some of them have been better for the property management department. So it's just a few little things like that. And then when I say property management, since I'm talking, let me be specific. This is overall. That does not mean that every property is doing well. It's just saying as a department, the department is doing better than its previous performance. So that doesn't, I don't want to get the impression like it's just great, it's fantastic, everything is doing better than what it had did in the past as a whole.
Thank you so much for sharing.
Well,
Any other questions?
I have a question. So, you could just help me better understand the performance to goal. So that section has been updated a little bit since last time on the wait list area of the report. And then also, looking at Watson, I see that we only had 72% rent collection rate. And so, you could talk a little bit to what's happening in that one particular property.
Absolutely, ma'am. So for the wait list, what we have is kind of certain properties are very popular. And so they really overperform. So you'll see, for example, the Hacienda's property, it just happens to overperform 700% to our goal. Our goal is effectively 5 times the number of units in that property. And the reason for that is because people wait on the waiting list for so long. By the time we actually get to them, sometimes we'll call them up first click on the list. I already have housing come take place. So we want on average about 5 people per unit, just to make sure that we have somebody to fill each vacant unit. Some of our properties, we have had difficulty, we kind of exhausted the wait list. We need to reopen those wait lists, and that's something we'll be doing this spring, is getting these wait lists that are at 0 or that are below our goal. We'll get those reopened and really do a marketing push to get. We've already kind of started that process. We're just putting out I think we did Portola Vista, Oak Grove, and I think there was another one. We just started putting together the flyers and marketing so that we can increase the numbers on the wait list. But our goal is to have 5 families per unit on our wait list. So
For this report, what we should be looking for is something close to 100% in performance to goal in that area.
Yes,
That's an indicator of, what is it? Not progress, but
not performance indicator.
Yes, it should be 100%.
that's a good one,
yes, yes,
okay.
ma'am.
But so something that's like 0.
Mhm.
But I mean, it's an interesting thing, if you look at Rippling River, it's 0. Is it because no one wants to go there, or like, how do we assess that, right? To say if you want 5 times, but there's not a lot of turnover or whatever.
Some properties do have a little turnover.
Mhm,
The idea is to have that waiting list and to keep it maintained.
mhm.
That sometimes you have a property with low turnover, people kind of get discouraged. They know like, oh, there's only 1 unit there, we really don't have an opportunity, so they go elsewhere. The one thing that I would encourage, I guess, to remember here is that it is also kind of an overall wait list. So there are people that are on this wait list that maybe you are on the Tynan Village wait list, and we call you and say, look, we actually don't have a unit at Tynan Village, but we do have 1 and 2 Haciendas. So maybe we want to move in that. So overall, we meet the goal, but individually we're not. And we have you can kind of see the properties that are more popular. It really just comes down to sometimes location, unit type. Senior properties tend to have, less turnover, so people don't really apply there. Versus families have a lot more turnover. So you'll see the time, and you'll see some of these others that have these really big, successful waiting lists, but it's because we turn those over a lot faster.
That's helpful, thank you.
And to your question about the rent collection of Watson, we did have an eviction there, so there's a family, it's not a particularly large property, one tenant can make actually a pretty big difference in the performance. We did have a property or a tenant that hasn't paid rent in a couple of months. They are on the process of being evicted, but they're one of the larger factors here.
Thank you.
Any other questions for the property management report?
How many, before you submit an eviction notice, how many, notices do you submit to the resident?
That depend on the property. He can't give you a specific answer because every property is funded
Has their own
different,
things?
so it
Okay.
depends on what property.
Okay, very good. Let's move on to item 8D, the development report.
Really, the King City stuff was the development reports of one we have, and then the ad, other than, development is going well, we got a real positive outlook.
Very good. Questions for the development report? Thank you. Let's move on to the item 8E, the housing program.
As a, housing program supported with just the HCV department. I think I had started telling you guys, we had to end up sending out, I think it's like 90 termination notices. Because we have a lot of clients who refuse to, turn in their paperwork for whatever reason. So we reached out to them following the HUD rules and the guidelines and our admin plan. We've noted all of that. We still gave them 2 or 3 extra attempts to try to get in contact with them above that. And when that didn't work, we tried phone calls. And when the phone calls didn't work, then we sent back the notices to terminate, which gave them a certain date that they have to have the information in. And if they get it in, they still have time to say they voucher. We're in a really high rent area, so we don't want to terminate anybody from the program. But we have to follow the rules and regulations, so we exhausted all of that before we sent the termination notices out. I think again, it's like 90 of them that's out. So hopefully all of those individuals will turn in their paperwork, but if not, we will have to terminate their vouchers.
Question, Zalika, when did the notices go out?
They start going out 4 months in ahead of time before their effective date. So like if they, certification due in May, they start getting notices in January. Then they get one every month, all the way down to the 30 days. Then we still, send them another notice to try to get them in so they won't lose it. But yeah, they've been trying to contact them for like 4 to 3 months, something like that. The HCB department is still behind on inspections. Right now, we have 582. We're not gonna meet that goal of having those done, so that is gonna be a negative impact on our CMAP scores. That'll be something we'll have to try to take care of within our next fiscal year to get those points back. Then on the annual recertifications, we are really close to being negative on those. I think it's like a -2 actually, because they behind 125 annual certifications. You only have 60 days after the effective date to send it up to PIC to get credit for it. So the staff is working on catching all of those up so that we can get those points back. Now, I think we might be able to get those points back for the annual research, but we will not get the ones for the inspections. Other than that, we've been working, I've been working with the staff in a leadership capacity to try to keep them on track and helping them with trainings, meeting their goals, stuff like that. And little things that can help them with their day-to-day operations, so we don't have to go through nothing like this again. We've been selected for EVMS. HUD decided to pick us to be one of the first ones to do it. What it is, the VMS is the sum of the Section 8 department. It tells them how much money to give us, how much money admin fee, how many people we got, how much help. And so normally you do it manually based on your information in your software system. And then you go into the REACT system and you input all the numbers. Well, now everything is coming straight out of PIC. So every time a caseworker do an action, they create a 5-8 and they send it to PIC. So starting June 1st, whatever's in PIC, that's how HUD is gonna determine what to pay us for our help money and for our admin money. So we took the training, me, Jim, and here all of us, so we can know how it works. For a little while, they're gonna run together, the manual and the electronic, but the electronic is the one they want you to concentrate on. So you won't be able to manually make any changes. It's gonna have to already be in the system, be confirmed and be validated. So I was saying that to let you know, one, I'm actually excited about it. I think it's a good tool. You just have to make sure that your PIC submissions are correct. So our agency have 117 errors in PIC. Some of them go all the way back to 2018. And so the staff is working on fixing those. Now, when you send a ticket to PIC, as soon as you send it, you click on the ticket and it either flash green to let you know it's okay, or it have a red to let you know that it's an error that you have to fix. So with the staff doing their own submissions now, as soon as they send one in, they can see if it's good or bad. And if it's bad, they got the file right there at their desk, they can fix it. And then that way we won't have to worry about it causing us funding issues moving forward. But we got 117 that date back to 2018 that we're working on fixing. No, I know that's a lot, but I want to let y'all know about the EVMS and stuff like that. So.
Any questions for housing program report?
Yeah, good question. So on, starting at the top, on the vouchers that are being terminated,
Mhm.
I'm wondering on the reports that we receive, where is it that we can see the number of vouchers that are out there looking for lease up? And kind of where they are in the process of, we may be expecting this many to be coming up for termination, or this many are gonna be. I know we can't do extensions anymore for right now, right? But in the past, it would have been like, okay, you're getting the extension funding. And I'm asking because that information is, unless I'm missing it, not transparent to
It would
us
just
as
be
the board or
on,
or the public as well. Like to say, it's not like we're being arbitrary and canceling vouchers, it's right, we have a policy that says we do X, Y, and Z, and then we also are under this corrective action or this.
yeah, we on a plan.
Plan, right? So where,
But see, that one, that's not something that normally will be on the board report. You'll just see whether vouchers leased up.
Mhm.
You'll see that number fluctuating. Cause we normally don't have this many EOPs. Our EOPs like 7%. We do maybe like 12 people out of the whole month. But this is something that's unusual. So this is not normal. So it wouldn't be something that's reported every month.
Mhm.
But if you
But you all are tracking that, right? Like,
Oh,
you
yeah,
know, like how many
internally.
vouchers are out in the
Oh,
field towards.
Cause it's on the
the
VMS
516.
report,
Uh-huh.
how many people out searching, how many outstanding, how many zero have, we have all of that information internally. And then it go to the VMS, which will be the EVMS coming up, and then we put the ones on here that really affect our CMAP.
Mhm.
And to give you that high level so that you can see what's going on with the program.
Mhm.
Cause for instance, let's say vouchers leased up for March, 4,666. So we're not really issuing any new vouchers. So about 90 of these people actually get terminated, next month, that number would have been decreased by 90. So that's where it would have caught your attention, you go, oh, wait a minute, y'all went from 4,600 to now you got 4,500.
Wait, but those 90 folks
They
aren't
include-
leased up.
No, these people are leased up.
Okay.
Yeah, these people who in the program, been in the program, they leased up, stay somewhere, and they have to do their annual certification. Yeah, these not new vouchers.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's where you will see it under there.
Would be a reduction in the leased up.
And then again, like I say, this is something special. This is not usual. You're not gonna really hear nobody talking about this, about their voucher program, because it's not an ordinary action to have that many people to be terminated at once. And see, the reasoning for that, the annuals are behind. The staff is behind on annual certification. They working to catch them up. So as they catching them up, they going through more and more people that they work with and finding out who is submitting, who's not submitting, trying to contact them. So that's why it's so many at one time.
Then on a second area, so the watch list programs.
Mhm.
Can you just talk a little bit about, is that an internal designation?
Oh,
Is
no,
that?
that's internal. That's internal. That's not, HUD is not looking at any of our programs like that. That's just us keeping up with them to make sure that we follow all the rules and regulations and how many people we have. Actually, until we can start leasing up again, we might as well take the FYI off because it's gonna stay at 17.
Mhm.
Because we were really trying to push it to get all 65 leased up, but now we can't do that. Now, the PVVs, you'll still see them increasing because we still can lease up a PVV because it's already under a contract. So you'll see that go up some. I forgot how many PVV units we have in total, but that number you will see going up and down.
Okay, good. So
Yeah,
that was
but
part
no,
of my
that's
other
internal.
question.
Yeah, no, that's internal.
Both internal, but I think also, to be fair to to the agency, like as you mentioned FYI, if we're at a freeze and we can't move forward, like I think it warrants a note to say, hey, effective February, we couldn't do anything until sometime as we're out of that, just so we're not looking at it and being like, hey, what's going on with this program?
Okay.
And then the CMAP report. So obviously those, the late inspections jumped out and thinking about, so this is a Q1 score. And you said that we wouldn't be able to recover them for our annual, or, I mean, do we have an opportunity within Q1, 2, 3 to
Well,
improve that score?
Actually, this is Q1 of 2025, but see, our fiscal year ends June 30th. So our Section 8 program for CMAP, our actions end on June 30th. We have to have a report in by August 15th. So even though the finances for Section 8 on the calendar year, the activities for Section 8 is on the same fiscal year as the agency. So if we don't meet the deadline and make the accomplishments by June the 30th, then it doesn't count, it count for that year, but that's the end date for the CMAP. July 1 start a new CMAP cycle.
So to make it easy, they keep it on
Yeah,
two
keep it
different
on.
calendars. But basically what I hear you telling the board is we should not expect.
Oh, no, we're not going.
We're not gonna meet by June 30th.
No,
And
no.
then that plays back into the conversation we were having earlier about the need for temporary workers.
Well, no, because you have to be HQS certified to be able to do the
Yeah, so we
inspection.
can't
So
even-
see what happened, the housing staff here, for reasons unknown to me, other than I can say COVID probably was one reason that played into it. They stopped doing inspections around 2019, some in 2018, because on the inspection report, we do have some that go back to 2017. So you have a person who haven't had an inspection in like 76 months, stuff like that. You're supposed to do an inspection every 2 years. The staff here, the housing specialists, they're certified to do inspections, and it's part of their job to do the inspections for their caseloads. So my best guess is that they were behind. COVID happened, everybody stopped doing them. You're supposed to send in a code to clear the ones for COVID, and then around 2021 or something like that, I think people started back doing inspections, but they never started back doing them here. They didn't start back doing inspections here until I started them back in 2023. When we first started back doing them, we was at 2,500 and like 15 behinds. And so we really, been running, trying to do them, but we got to this year, we at 580, which is a good reduction starting from 2023. But only the HPS can do the inspections, and they working on the annuals now, because they behind on the annuals. And so you don't want to lose all your points. There's no way for them to get the points back for the inspections. They ain't got enough time to do that many. And so we might, we need to try to make sure we get the points for the annual, so we don't lose 2 categories. We did have some other staff helping to do the inspection, but we had to stop doing that. That also helped to get the numbers down low, so that's why we just stuck there. You don't see that number increase in the next 2 or 3 months, because the inspection's still getting behind. So it'll probably be July or something before we really can start trying to tackle those inspections, because we need to make sure all the annuals are there. Because another reason why the annuals are so special, annuals have a financial component. So if an annual behind and the tenant rent went up, the housing authority end up paying that extra money for that tenant rent. Because the tenant must get 30 days notice. That's HUD rule. They must get it. There's no way to get around it. And so then we end up paying if the tenant rent go up and it's our reason that they was late. We can try to put them on a tenant overpayment plan, but we still gotta pay the money up front and hope to get it back. So that's why we really need to catch up all the annuals, so we don't do no financial burden to the agency.
And then my last one is just a comment. I appreciate that you're kind of excited about the EVMS, but
Fine.
listening to it, like, I feel pause. And I realize that, you're saying we were selected, this is something we have to do, but when you talk about the number of errors we have in the system and, things like we're
I
508,
know, it's
like
scary.
580, I'm very concerned about being a part of that program and what it's ultimately going to do. And I hope that we will continue to receive regular information about how that's going, because everyone has been working so hard to bring this housing authority back into a place of positive performance.
Mhm.
And
agree.
Yeah, it'd really be a
This has-
shame for it to go backwards now. But let me tell you, I want, I just talk about some of the things that I'm doing. So the PIC errors are a major concern. I have been working with the HCD staff myself. I've given them 2 trainings on PIC. We did one today, matter of fact, on how to fix the errors in Yardi, so they'll be, more familiar with the software, and then putting checklists and stuff like that in place so they don't make all those errors moving forward. Most of our errors, like I said, we had 117, 35 of them is because of new admissions. So what the staff was doing was moving a person in the unit and then don't move them in the software. I had one lady staying in the unit for a year and nobody knew she was staying there till the landlord contacted us. And so we had to pay $8,994 because we had to go all the way back a year because she never got a move in. Had another lady moved in
Fired when
February.
something like that happened.
You would think, but we try, we got some things we working on. And not to go into too much detail, I would say we'll have to have a closed session to talk about this, in greater detail. But I'm doing a lot of training with the staff, made a lot of handouts, PowerPoints, all kind of stuff, actually having sessions where they bring their laptops and we do it all together. To drill it in for them, how important this is, how important these dates are, and then we get all of this accomplished. And so, it's been, it's going well. It seemed to be well received by most of them. But, we really working on trying to get these PIC errors under control. It's a lot. It keep me busy, but, the one thing that I will say, and not trying to say nothing good about myself, talk like that, but I do have a lot of experience with Section 8 program, and I am proficient in Yardi. And so when they come to me with problems, I take the time and I go find the solutions. I make handouts with screenshots, step by step, what to do, and then do it with them so that they can see, why it's like that. Because in the training today, because I don't want to make our meeting go too long, but we had a whole page where we just talked about what is PIC. Because, people hear the word and they get intimidated. So I was telling them, that's just your desk at HUD. Because your actions is what make it up, stuff like that. So we're working really hard to try to get all this corrected. And we're gonna monitor it very closely because we don't want to mess up our funding and things of that nature with the EBMS.
Did you have your questions answered?
Look, I'm ready, let's go.
Maybe probably have to go into a closed session.
Yeah.
Mr. Roscoe, any questions?
No.
Program, of course. We have the other 2 information items. Our properties by program is on there. Is there any questions or any elaboration for that item? And the property spotlight for Haciendas.
Any questions?
I don't have any questions.
Okay.
Lauren,
Well,
and we have decided to table, or did you want to go ahead and
No,
do
I'll
that?
tell you.
No, please go ahead.
The WISH meeting that we were having directly following this one, we're gonna not have that meeting this time, we'll table to come back in May. Because it's a new, part of the organization, that there's some things that we need to clarify in the legal documents. And they were not able to do that in time for this meeting, I do apologize, but we will have all that ready for the next meeting so that we can officially kick off WISH as a part of HDC and help them as our new CHOTO.
Great.
I believe that brings us then to commissioner comments. Why don't we start with Commissioner Goodwin, please?
I just wanted to thank everybody for, all the information and bringing us up to date and, welcoming our new, our new staff that's joined us temporarily. Thank you.
Commissioner Anderson.
Congratulations to Commissioner Healy on his reappointment.
Yeah.
Stuck with me for another while. Thank you very much. Commissioner Ross?
I have none, thank you.
I have none either. Great job, everybody. Got to lift my soup game for the next meeting. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
And we'll call the meeting adjourned now at 5:48 p.m.
It's a record. I think that's the quickest we have. And
Bye,
I-
Francine.
Bye-bye. We have another meeting, right?
No, it's been canceled. We will reconvene at next month's board meeting.
Okay, so we're done?
Yeah, we're done. All right.
Bye,
bye.
everybody. Have a good week.
Thank you, you too.
I mean,
Oh, I